standing by. Welcome to the DOT Press Briefing Conference Call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question-and-answer session. Instructions will be given at that time. If you should require assistance during today's call, please press star then 0. As a reminder, this conference is being recorded. I will now turn the conference over to our host, FAA. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this announcement on unmanned aircraft registration. You will hear remarks this morning from Transportation Secretary Anthony Fox, followed by FAA Deputy Administrator Michael Whitaker. And with that, I'll turn it over to Secretary Fox, and then we'll turn to Deputy Administrator Whitaker and then Q&A.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. In late October, I set an ambitious goal for our team to create and launch a registration system for unmanned aircraft before Christmas this year. Today, the FAA is announcing a rulemaking that will create a simple and easy online registration process for owners of small unmanned aircraft weighing between 0.55 pounds and 55 pounds. This registration system was created by gathering input from a task force that included government stakeholders and representatives from across the aviation, technology, and sales industries. Under this rule, anyone who bought a small unmanned aircraft before December 21st must register by February 19th of 2016. February 19th of 2016. And owners who purchased their aircraft after December 21st must register it before their first flight outdoors. The law requires us to charge for aircraft registration to defray the cost. So we've set the registration fee at $5, which is the same amount we charge for registering a Cessna 172 or a Boeing 787. However, we heard from our stakeholders concerns about this, and so to encourage as many people as possible to register quickly, we'll waive this fee for the first 30 days that the registry is open. My message to unmanned aircraft operators is pretty simple. It is in your best interest to register early. We're excited to bring these new users into the culture of safety and responsibility that defines American aviation. Unmanned aircraft operators are aviators, and with that title comes a great deal of responsibility. As I've said, registration will reinforce the need for unmanned aircraft users, including consumers and hobbyists, to operate their drones safely. It will also help us connect an aircraft with its operator in cases where folks aren't following the rules. So, this is an important step forward in our enforcement efforts, and it is also a part of our ongoing efforts to encourage innovation in our airspace and across our transportation system. From unmanned aircraft to driverless cars, we're committed as an agency to recognizing the potential of these innovations while establishing the ground rules to ensure their safe integration into our national transportation system. So I want to thank our teams at DOT and the FAA for all of their hard work that made meeting this deadline possible. And I also want to thank everyone who participated in the registration task force for their insights and their recommendations. I want to close by saying that while this, again, is one step that we're taking, it is not the only step that government is taking or will take in the future when it comes to the safe integration of these technologies. We reserve the right, of course, to ratchet up or down, depending on circumstances as they continue to evolve. But at this point, I want to turn things over to Mike Whitaker, Deputy Administrator for FAA, who will provide more details on the registration system.
Thank you, Secretary Fox. As you know, safety is the core of everything we do at FAA, and safely integrating unmanned aircraft into the national airspace system is one of our top priorities. To put this in context, for decades, the only people who had access to our airspace were highly trained pilots who came from a culture where safety was deeply embedded. But as the Secretary mentioned, thousands upon thousands of brand new users are starting to fly. And while we're confident that the vast majority of these people care about safety and want to operate safely, the reality is that most have little to no aviation experience. So our challenge is to educate these new operators that as soon as they start flying, they're pilots. They have the responsibility to fly safely, and there are rules and regulations that apply to them. We're working safety methods to as many people as possible. This requires us to constantly evolve and be flexible in our approach and search for new opportunities to educate this new generation of airspace users. The Unmanned Aircraft Registry is a key step in this process. Tomorrow marks a key milestone as we will publish the interim final registration rule in the Federal Register. The rule tracks closely with the recommendations of the task force. The rule will require registration of drones weighing between 250 grams, that's a little more than half a pound, up to 55 pounds. Registration will be simple. It will be done through a website that will go live next Monday, December 21st. After the initial 30-day free period, registration will cost $5 and will be valid for 3 years. Once the owner enters the required information, they will receive a registration certificate that they can print out. The certificate will include a registration number that must be marked on the aircraft. For model aircraft operators, there will be no limit to the number of aircraft that can be registered under that number. So they will only pay $5 once to register all of their model aircraft. I want to take a moment here to thank the Registration Task Force again for its work. The group provided us with thoughtful and comprehensive recommendations, and we incorporated the vast majority of them into the rule. We accepted the recommendation on minimum registration age and information that owners should be required to provide. We excluded unmanned aircraft weighing less than half a pound from the registration requirement, and we are allowing people to register multiple aircraft under one registration number. As Secretary Fox noted, education is a paramount goal of this initiative. Registration provides us with an opportunity to educate unmanned aircraft users about how to operate safely. This means flying below 400 feet altitude, keeping your unmanned aircraft in sight at all times, staying away from manned aircraft, never flying over groups of people, stadiums, or sporting events. And when you want to fly within 5 miles of an airport, contact the airport or control tower beforehand. We're going to be pushing out additional information about the registry through FAA.gov and through Facebook and Twitter. We also are committed to working with our government, industry, and model aircraft community partners to identify new opportunities to ensure that all new users are aware of the registration requirement and fly safely. And we're confident that working together we will succeed. Thank you.
Now we'll be able to take questions. When folks ask the question, we would appreciate if you would identify yourself and the news organization you're affiliated with.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to ask a question, please press star then 1 on your touch-tone phone. You'll hear a tone indicating that you've been placed in queue. You may remove yourself from the queue at any time by pressing the pound key. If you are using a speakerphone, please pick up the handset before pressing the numbers. Once again, if you have a question, please press star 1 at this time. Our first question will come from the line of David Curley with ABC News. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Mr. Secretary, I think you both kind of said this. Registration so far and regulations so far with drones really have more to do with education than enforcement. Is that the case?
Well, I think this is Deputy Administrator Whitaker. It has to do with both, but I would say that education is a major focus of this. The incidents where we've seen aircraft flying near airports or around other aircraft, we believe are largely due to people not understanding the rules and the large number of new users that have come into the system. So the registration will create an opportunity to provide that basic education. But it will also create accountability so that when a drone is located that has been flying improperly, we'll be able to locate the owner.
And our next question will come from the line of Alina Sleuth with NPR. Please go ahead.
Hi, it's Alina Sleuth with NPR. Thanks for holding this. To follow up to that question, what happens in a scenario where you catch a drone flyer without a registration and he says, I didn't know that I was supposed to register this. Is there sort of a scale of punishment, or in general, how do you plan to enforce these regulation requirements?
Well, getting getting the word out that registration is required is an important part of what we're doing at this point. As far as enforcement, we have a broad spectrum of options available to us. The key focus is to get people to comply with the rules. There's nothing that would require an enforcement action if we can just get someone to do what they're supposed to do. But for blatant violations or other bad acts, we do have both civil and criminal enforcement opportunities available to us.
We'll go to the line of Chris Van Cleve with CBS News. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Wanted to get a sense for what information will be required for people when they register. What do they need to provide?
Well, the basic information is going to be the name, the physical address, and the email address, and that will be sufficient. Then there will be a credit card transaction to verify identity. For the first 30 days, that $5 fee gets refunded, but that gives us what we need to verify the identity of the registration.
And if I can just follow up on enforcement real quick. In order to be able to access the identification number to trace a drone back to its operator, you have to recover the drone if it was operating, say, near an airport or got too close to a commercial airliner, or is there a way for you to remotely identify the drone?
Currently, it would be the marking on the drone. So that would be, you have to essentially recover the drone to have that number available.
How many drones has the FAA recovered that have been operating improperly today?
I don't have any statistics on that. We can follow up with you separately.
Thanks.
Next, we'll go to the line of Alan Levine with Bloomberg News. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. So I just want to clarify that for the first 30 days after December 21, the fee is waived. Is that correct?
So the website will go live on December 21. The fee will be $5, and for the first 30 days, that $5 will be refunded through the credit card transaction. So basically, it'll be a charge and a refund through that credit card.
And just to follow up, is there something in statute that requires a $5 registration fee?
The statute requires that we charge a fee for registration, and the statute requires that the fee be designed to recover the costs of the registration system. So that's the statutory basis.
But it seems way too low to recover the costs, especially for the traditional aircraft. Is that?
I'm going to let Peggy Gilligan, our Associate Administrator for Safety, address that.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Mike. Alan, the current regulation has been set at $5 for quite a long time. Right now, we are working on additional regulations related to increasing those fees, which were authorized in the last FAA reauthorization. However, subsequent appropriations bills have limited our ability to change those fees. So right now, as you point out, the fee as the Secretary pointed out, the fee for registering any aircraft is $5. That's for a 3-year registration. It's renewed at $5 every 3 years.
Thanks.
Next, we'll go to the line of Jack Nickus with Wall Street Journal. Please go ahead.
Good morning. I want to talk about enforcement for 1 second. How do you make sure people are actually registering their aircraft? Is this going to be enforced by FAA inspectors on the ground? Are you going to enlist local law enforcement? And can you be a little bit more specific about potential penalties if someone is not doing this?
Sure. So on going to the penalties first, we have civil penalties available to us up to $27,500, and criminal penalties up to $250,000, and imprisonment up to 3 years. That, of course, would be the maximum in an egregious situation. As far as enforcement, of course, with the number of unmanned aircraft coming into the system, our real challenge is to get them to understand the rules and achieve compliance. Part of that effort is working very closely with law enforcement throughout the country, the people who are actually on the ground and can interact with operators to try to achieve that compliance.
I'm flying in the park and a local cop comes up to me and asks me if I drone registered, how do I prove it?
So you should have a couple things. You should have the number marked on the unmanned aircraft system, and then you should have your certificate of registration, which you could either print out once you've received it, or you can have it on your personal electronic device and display it that way.
Got it. Thank you.
Next, we'll go to the line of Bart Jansen with USA Today. Please go ahead.
Hello, thanks for holding the call. I wondered first whether you care to say what the website will be for registration, or maybe you don't want to do that because it isn't started yet. And also wanted to ask more generally, there have been concerns raised about whether you have the legal authority to do this for hobbyists, and could you perhaps restate your thoughts about having the authority to do that?
Sure. So the website is still in beta testing, so we're not releasing the link at this point. We'll do that later, but also beginning next week, you can access the website through our website at FAA.gov. As far as the legal authority goes, the 2012 Reauthorization Act prohibits us from regulating amateur use of drones, but this is aircraft registration, and that legal authority has been long-standing. So all aircraft has to be registered. Unmanned aircraft constitute aircraft, so we fit pretty squarely under that requirement for registration.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to the line of Max McFarland with the Washington Post. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi there. So this the URL that you're telling us that on Monday, that's when it will be out.
That is correct.
Okay, got it. And what if someone say resells their drone on a secondary market? What happens then with like a registration?
Yeah, so the new owner would have to register the drone, and the website will have the capability of allowing you to deregister if necessary.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to the line of Renee Mars with CNN. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for holding this call. My question is just a point of clarification. Is this purely the honor system, or is there some sort of collaboration with retailers to ensure that at point of purchase, someone is alerted, or there's some mechanism in place to ensure that an individual does indeed register? Or again, is this just purely the honor system at this point?
Well, as we mentioned, we worked very closely with a task force that was made up of industry stakeholders, including retailers, and really all the major retailers and manufacturers. And I think it's fair to say that everybody is committed to making this work. And the retailers and manufacturers are very interested in making sure the operators are operating within a set of guidelines and rules so that this industry can continue to flourish. We will continue to work with retailers after the website is up and running, and look for more convenient ways to allow the registration to happen, including possibly at point of sale. So we anticipate continuing to work with retailers, and they have been very supportive of this effort.
Okay, so initially though, this will be up to the individual to go ahead and register. So this is something that lies solely on that individual. There's no other parties that will be helping in this effort initially.
The initial responsibility will be on the individual, and the initial way to do that will be through the website. We hope to have more options for that as we develop that.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to the line of Muriel Garza with LA Times. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks. How's this going to work for kids? Is there an age limit?
So for registration, there is an age limit. You have to be at least 13 to register. For children under that age, we would anticipate that the parents would be registering and supervising their children. Their younger children can still operate the device, but that should be under supervision.
Next, we'll go to the line of Kelly Madrich with CQ. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for holding this call. Two quick questions. First of all, why not have large drones as part of the system, and where do you deal with that? And second of all, is there going to be a penalty for not registering the drone? If I'm not clear with that, can you just go over whether there will be penalties for not registering?
Sure. So for large drones, for purposes of regulation, we divided the drone world into large and small, and the definition of small is under 55 pounds. So large drones would have to register through the traditional system, but the majority of the commercial demand and hobby demand that we've seen in the United States has really been in the small drone category and substantially smaller than 55 pounds. So that's really why the focus has been on the small UAS. As far as penalty for registration, as I mentioned, there are statutory penalties for registration, and our initial focus is going to be on compliance. So the initial focus is to get the word out and work with local law enforcement so that they can also get the word out to ensure compliance with registration. But in the event of people who choose not to do that, we do have enforcement penalties available.
Our next question will come from the line of Tom Krisher with Associated Press. Please go ahead.
Yes, I was a little confused by statement that you made earlier. Do you anticipate any legal challenges or anything? You said that you had been banned under the 2012 Reauthorization Act from regulating drones, yet you're considering these aircraft, and so that seems to be in conflict. How do you plan to deal with that?
So the 2012 Act was focused on not imposing new regulations on hobbyists and amateur users. So the registration is actually was not impacted by that. The registration requirement has been a long-standing legal requirement for all aircraft in the system. So there's really no conflict between those two statutory mandates.
Okay. So your interpretation would be that you can impose the registration. It's just further regulations that might be the problem.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Next, we'll go to the line of Tony Rome with Politico. Please go ahead.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks so much for taking my question. Just to rewind this a whole bunch, can you talk about how you plan to inform consumers about the registration process and the potential penalties here? I mean, other than this call, especially if you're not doing anything at point of sale, how do you convince consumers this late into the holiday season that they have to sign up using the system and all the rules therein?
Well, I think that is a challenge, and we're trying to get the word out, disseminated as broadly as possible. I think media dissemination of this is actually very helpful in that regard. But we have a number of social media and other initiatives underway and maybe I'll turn it over to Jenny in our public affairs to add a little to that.
Tony, we have a few initiatives already going on. We're already working with some teams in the NFL, and they're running PSAs on their scoreboards during home games to let people know about basically the know before you fly rules. We have a working group called Know Before You Fly that is made up of us and industry partners. Some of the product companies are already putting inserts in their packaging that give consumers information about what they need to know before they fly. And in the coming weeks, the package insert will also contain information on the registry. We're looking for more ways to partner with folks. We have a lot of interest from local markets across the country because they are seeing just the influx of drone use, and they want people to be able to do this safely. And again, our stakeholders have an interest in helping us educate consumers because we want to make sure that the integration of unmanned aircraft is done safely. And so they are willing to work with us, and we are looking forward to continuing our partnerships with them to get the word out.
We have time for one more question. We'll go to the line of Jacqueline Fell with Cox Media. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for holding the call. I actually was just going to ask about informing the public about registration. Are there plans in the future, or especially near future, to work with retailers or manufacturers so that when they buy the drone, there is something there saying you must register this?
There are, and both the manufacturers and the retailers have been very, very engaged in this process. And as I mentioned, it's in their interest that this is successful and that people operate within the rules. So after the initial rollout of the website, we will be working with retailers who are interested in a point-of-sale option for registration. But we're also working with manufacturers on including educational material within the actual physical box, which is already happening in many cases, and other educational initiatives to put the message out there as broadly as possible.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our conference for today. Thank you for your participation and for using AT&T Executive Teleconference. You may now disconnect.